There. I was wondering what was going on. That's the kind of morning it already is. It's like you're trying to figure out why you can't hear yourself talk, and it's because your microphone is at 12 o'clock on your headset. It's like, it's like you wear my glasses. They're on top of my head. That's why I can't see anything. So that's the kind of morning we're already starting. I get that. Yeah. And that's where we're going today. All right. Hi, John, here, you there. And obviously, since it's Friday, we're starting at 9:01 because we've got to catch up with head coach Steve Cook with the Twos to get ready for the Twos and Hunt City this weekend. Action at the Fraction is 7 or 7:30. Morning, Bam. Yes, we will talk about Nigeria and Canada. 7:30. So 7:30 on Sunday night. And so it'll be fun to catch up and see Jack Collison come to town. Jack's already here. Morning, Will. And Jack has been taking pictures with Eddie Howe as Newcastle is already here in the Atlanta area getting ready for their match coming up here in the midweek with the Premier League and their tour, and the doubleheader that's at Mercedes-Benz Stadium. So Jack's taking pictures. Hunt City's going to be here on Sunday, and it's going to be fun to sit there and see Jack and what he's been able to build there at Hunt City as they take on the Twos. Yeah, Will, I don't doubt that for a second. Because it's what he's getting to build from the ground up. Will says spoke to Jack after the match last Sunday after they got hosed by TFC2, and he's real excited. It's going to be fun. It's going to be a fun reunion to see Jack and everybody at the Fraction. So 7:30 kick Sunday night Eastern time, and can't wait to see everybody from Huntsville come over. Can't wait to see everybody there at the Fraction who remember Jack and get the chance to see the Twos finally come home after 5 of 6 on the road, and it'll be interesting. So we got that this morning. Hopefully, our friends from Beyond Goals will be able to join us. Because they're kind of busy doing things. They're taking care of, folks that wish to learn and get to the next level and figure out what they need to do. So we'll catch up with them. And hopefully at 9:30, 10 o'clock and beyond, from 10 to 11, we'll get you ready for the weekend that will be, because there's a lot to talk about. And I guess what I should do for the public good this morning, as a part of everything that we will be talking about, because we do have Leagues Cup to talk about. We do have World Cup to talk about. So that'll be fun. And all right, so here's what I'm doing. Before we get into opening kickoff, brought to us by our friends at Kickoff Coffee. Folks are looking at the Copa Sudamericana. Nothing yet. Okay. So nothing yet this morning from our friends at Teisei. So we'll see if that changes. If there's a camera available as folks will sit there and stare at somebody who might be like wandering around at practice or something like that. And we will give you the tongue-in-cheek play-by-play of that as well, if that is in fact going down. Will is not going to be here. Couldn't get a big enough group together. Going to rock the South every evening yesterday through Saturday, all the way burnt out. Not a surprise. Hey, just watch, listen, be a part of it that way. As long as you're a part of the fabric, that's all that matters. And bam, yeah, when we get into the World Cup, 21,000 people at a 12:30 Friday local time kick. Absolutely amazing. Really cool stuff. Our friends at Teisei right now for the morning, they're running through all of their normal debates. So we'll get into that coming up in just a little bit. We'll go over the action that happened in the overnight. We'll remind you about what's going to happen later today, heading over to Wild Heaven West End, where SDH is going to be there, and we're going to get you ready for the U.S.-Vietnam match. And Vlatko Andonovski was asked in the pre-match presser by a Vietnamese reporter what would happen if they lost. Then Vlatko gave the very diplomatic answer about focusing on the other matches in the group stage, and hopefully it ended up like Argentina. So Vlatko was on. So Vlatko was on his morning, Alex. Definitely was on the right path when it came to all that kind of stuff. But, yeah, we'll get into World Cup, get into Leagues Cup, get into juice boxes, get into all of your stuff for the morning. Anything that's on your collective minds, go ahead and put it in the Twitch pitch, and we'll discuss expectations for Leagues Cup, what you're looking at for the matches, U.S. women's team, all those things. Put them in the Twitch pitch. We'll be good to go, and we'll talk about a lot of stuff. Opening kickoff, brought to us by our friends at Kickoff Coffee and kickoffcoffeeco.com. Give me a second because I'm trying to load something really quickly here. And when you get when you use Kickoff Coffee and kickoffcoffeeco.com, just be sure to use the code SoccerDownHere15. There's your QR code. For those of you who are watching on Twitch, and use the code SoccerDownHere15, you get 15% off your purchase, and they in turn take 10% and reinvest it into the youth game and youth initiatives. Very, very cool stuff from our friends at Kickoff Coffee and at kickoffcoffeeco.com. Now, as a part of our daily stuff, what we like to do is we'll go around the planet and we'll let you know what's going on TV. We'll let you know what's going on there as well, and where you can watch and all these kinds of things. We like to, in this hemisphere, our friends at Soccer America, what they do every day, they put out the TV guide. And, as a source for soccer, we feel compelled to let everybody know where they can go and watch things here in this hemisphere. So they do the Brasileiro on Paramount Plus. And as we are wont to do, we'll tell you what's going on. We'll tell you, hey, here's what's going on. Here's the matches. Here's what you can watch. Here's what you can do. Botafogo was on Paramount Plus. And this is what happened in the broadcast of Paramount Plus and the Brasileiro. See if you can pick up what happened that raised a collective eyebrow toward folks when it came to their production aspect. You'll be able to listen for it. So here we go. Once again, this is courtesy of our friends. We'll be here till 11 o'clock straight up. 11 o'clock straight up. We got conference calls with our friends with the Twos. So this is what happened within the broadcast on Paramount Plus, on the Brasileiro. And remember, it's a CBS property, a Paramount property. So here's what happened in the match. See if you can pick it up, what people sat there and went absolutely insane about.
Internacional era bom, o pai do Gatito. E aí, sobrou na entrada da área, olha o Patronato, é gol! Gol! Do Patronato! Arce, ele que entrou no segundo tempo. Botafogo cochilou, vacilou, deu mole, deu aquela relaxada, e aí o Arce foi lá, aproveitou a chance e colocou na casinha e faz tocar a música do Paramount Plus. Bateu no canto, não deu pro Gatito.
Did you catch it? Did you catch what sent folks into a bit of a collective television tizzy? We'll play it again. One more time. We'll play it again. See if you can pick it up.
Internacional era bom, o pai do Gatito. E aí, sobrou na entrada da área, olha o Patronato, é gol! Gol! Do Patronato! Arce!
It wasn't the fact that Patronato scored, and congratulations in that match for Patronato scoring, but for the Brasileiro on Paramount Plus, what they decided to do on goals for the goal celebration was run the SEC on CBS music. The SEC on CBS is now a part of the Brasileiro. Bold choice. That made its way across the Bird app, And a lot of folks in the Southeast were going, hey, wait a minute. That's our music. By God, that's the SEC's music. Paramount Plus. And now it gives college football fans a reason to sit there and duck into the Brasileiro now on Paramount Plus. Because the SEC on CBS music was on Paramount Plus. Ricky, yeah, still more acceptable than being a part of the Big Ten. Yep. But the SEC on CBS music appeared on the Botafogo match in the Brasileiro on Paramount Plus. So now that gives us a reason to sit there and watch. Look for goals, listen to the play-by-play, then you get to hear the goal calls on the SEC the Brasileiro on Paramount Plus. That was pretty funny. Tafka says, similarly, I heard the USFL, the new version, using the NFL theme song. Lawyer inside of him screamed. Well, I mean, all right, so let's think about this. The USFL, depending on the network, it's a network piece of music, so I guess they can pretty much use it wherever they want. It may not necessarily be tied to a particular league, but if it's tied to if the artist is tied to a particular network, the network ought to be able to use it for whatever they want. Case in point, what we heard on the Brasileiro. And thanks to our friend Norm Charlatan on the Twitters for alerting us to this. Yeah, Fox. Yeah, so Fox uses the same music as well. It's an easy music bed. They don't have to go chasing. They don't have to sit there and try to figure out, okay, what music. It's a new football league. No, it's a football product. We'll use the same stuff. Just go ahead and dump the library in from our NFL coverage. It's already in the truck. So that's what you're getting. Yeah, it is weird. It is weird to hear music from other places and have it be a part of. And that's what I figured. You figured that folks with their networks would use their music libraries, whatever they were, to figure out what was going on in all of this. So, but yeah, it was just one of those things where you sit there and you're going, that's weird. And it was weird, and it still is weird, but just the shock and the ouster there where you're sitting there, it's like, wait a minute, did I hear what I thought I heard? Yeah, you did hear what you thought you heard. So, I mean, it was intriguing to say the very least when it comes to what you were staring at. Like I said, now it gives us a reason to sit there and look at gives us a reason to sit there and stare at our friends at the Brasileiro. So no, it was like I said, it was interesting, and it kind of made you stop for a second and go, yeah, that's weird. So that's your opening kickoff, brought to us by our friends at Kickoff Coffee, kickoffcoffeeco.com. There's your, if I could get to the right page, sit there and give you your QR code. There's your QR code once again for those of you who are watching on Twitch. And don't forget to use the code SoccerDownHere15, and you get 15% off of your purchase, and then they in turn take 10% reinvested into the youth game and the youth initiatives. Very, very cool stuff from our friends at Kickoff Coffee and at kickoffcoffeeco.com. A couple of other things in opening kickoff that just kind of sat there and it kind of, you're like, wait a minute, what? We're also in the season of the preseason fixture, and it was interesting, not necessarily a surprise, but it was interesting when you look at the competitions that are going on currently here early in the season. And Bayern Munich, they had a friendly, and I don't know now. I don't know now if I am, if I'm Bayern, if I am Rotak Egern, I don't know if I'm ever going to play Bayern Munich ever again? I really don't know. I legitimately have no idea. Because last time out, Bayern Munich beat Rotak Egern by the score of 27-0. I'm not kidding. 27-0. 27-0. No joke. And, if I am, legitimately, if I am a dude on Rotak Egern, or if I'm in that front office, the only thing that's keeping me doing it is the paycheck. Here's how this one broke down. Bundesliga champs camp in Tegernsee. Musiala opens the scoring after 3 minutes. Serge Gnabry doubled the lead a minute later. By the 13th minute, it was 5-0. Musiala and Gnabry having scored twice. Alphonso Davies adding the third on 8 minutes. By halftime, it was 18-0. Matisse Tell and Musiala both had scored 5. So that's 10 of the 18 by the half. Hat trick by Gnabry. Limer, Mazraoui, Upamecano, Sane on the score sheet. And the optimism here from our friends at The Guardian. It was a new-look Bayern lineup after the break, but there was little respite for their non-league opponents. Sabitzer scored 5 goals between the 50th and the 73rd. Guerrero, Gravenberch, Coman, and Mane, completing what can safely be described as a rout. 27-0 scoreline, Better's previous results. See now, and this, you look at this and you're going, wait a minute. And the phraseology here. The final 27-0 scoreline Better's previous results against the same opponents. 20-2 in 2018, 23-0 in 2019. Kim Min-jae was there. Bayern didn't disclose the transfer fees, paid the release clause of €50 million. But if I'm Rotak Egern, I'm kind of pissed off. I'm really pissed off about something like this. Because 27-0. 27-0, man. And you're digging this? I was like, yeah, we're cool. Absolutely. And to Tom's point, don't see what could possibly be gained by playing a 9th division side. Well, maybe you don't get hurt. Maybe that would be it. I have no clue. Yeah, let's pad some stats. I think, what was it, 3 dudes who had 5 goals each. 2 had 5 by the half. Sabitzer had 5 in 23 minutes. That's 15 of your 27. Yeah, and Alex, how is this different than hanging 80 on a directional school? Alex, have you made your way up to? Did you make your way up to Centennial High School yesterday? Are you trying to figure out where your team is practicing on a daily basis and trying to sit there and take like pictures and photographs and things? Yeah, I mean, legitimately, I mean, that's the only thing I can think, Ricky, is that it was a paycheck. Is that it was a paycheck game. That's the only thing I can figure. So, congratulations to Rotak Egern for getting your, ish handed to you. 27-0. Only 27 on Spam says Australian American Samoa 31-0 in 2001. I would hope, Ricky, that the 9th division side got to keep all the proceeds. I don't even know if this was an open match or if they were just, there. I mean, legitimately, I don't know if this was even something that they got to keep the proceeds from. Could they have? I hope so. That would be nice. That'd be nice if they did something like that. It's like, y'all, you're good. Keep the proceeds. Everything's fine. I mean, that's just legitimately me. That would be, that kind of a thing. I mean, I'm hoping that if it was an open door, that it was something where Rotok Egern could hang on to all of the proceeds for something like that. I mean, that'd be great because they need it. But I have no clue because that was not in the copy as to whether or not they could hang on to it. But, it'd be nice. 27-0. Alex says he did get an invite to watch Newcastle train Tuesday. Can't get away from work 2 days in a row with the projects you have going on. So I'm just hoping that they did get the chance to hang on to any proceeds, any proceeds. I hope they did. One of the other things that came across the collective bow. Don't know if you saw this. It was an article by Susie Rack. And the next time that we have our GK Union here, we'll discuss this. Mary Earps made a point to Susie Rack. And I know we're kind of drifting in and out of World Cup and things like that. Like I said, after Beyond Goals, if they get to join us at 9:30, Greg Garza will be joining us at 9:30. So Greg will be here in 7 minutes. But we'll get into World Cup and other things. Like I said, we got World Cup, Leagues Cup, people practicing, all those kinds of things coming up at 10 o'clock. And we'll get you ready for the weekend. I don't know if you saw this. Mary Earps was quoted, best FIFA women's keeper of 22, European champion, field questions about how and when fans will be able to buy her shirt. The answer, according to Susie Rack, despite all her efforts, is that she can't. She offered to even pay to produce them. She can't. Earps, a passionate advocate for goalkeeping improvements in coaching and increasing the popularity of the position. Quote, something I've been fighting behind closed doors. I've been trying to go through the correct channels as much as possible, which is why I've not spoken on it publicly, even though I've been asked a lot about it over the past few months, because I've been desperately trying to find a solution with the FA and with Nike. Unfortunately, it has become very evident that it is not possible and there is not going to be an acceptable solution for the young kids out there. On a personal level, it's hugely hurtful considering the last 12 months especially, there's been an incredible rise in goalkeeping participation. Earps was not told her kit would not be available to the public. She found out when the outfield kit went on sale and none of the promotional pictures of the goalkeepers was used as a part of the campaign. Raised this last year, she says, around the Euros when her shirt also wasn't available. And it was, don't worry, next year it was COVID manufacturing issues. Then this year it happened again. A logistical failure also meant she was not asked whether she wanted long or short sleeves for her World Cup shirts. There was an assumption in Australia that she would want short sleeves, except she has never worn them. The confusion meant she was forced to wear short sleeves in the Finalissima and put on a long sleeve base layer. I was never asked. A solution has been found for the World Cup, but her family and friends who are traveling are unable to buy her shirt. They're going to come out and wear normal clothes, and I know that sounds like, oh, Mary, what a horrible problem, but on a personal level, that's really hard. All my teammates have ordered a lot of shirts for their friends and family. They're talking about it at the dinner table. Oh, I wasn't able to get this. And I'm thinking, I can't get it at all. There are a lot of people who have spent a tremendous amount of money on outfield shirts and then put a number 1 and Earps on the back, which doesn't sit well with me either. Millie Bright spoke to me and said, my niece is desperate to get your shirt. Where can I get it? I was like, you can't. It doesn't exist. That's a huge problem, and it's a scary message that's being sent to goalkeepers worldwide that you are not important. The support of her teammates has been invaluable, Susie Rack writes. As a whole goalkeeper union, we are all tremendously disappointed, but also, most importantly, the rest of the girls are disappointed too. I say that with a wry smile because I wasn't expecting it. I was expecting to feel super passionate about it, but I temperature checked it at the time with Leah Williamson, Lada Wilben-Moy, and a few others and said, am I overreacting, girls, goalkeeper through and through? And they were like, no, it's absolutely unacceptable. We as a group stand for inclusion, and this is the total opposite of what we stand for. Why are we aligning with brands that don't have inclusion at the center? Why is it always about the bottom line? Nike's been approached for comment. It's understood that producing the new women's goalkeeper kits for the public is not part of its commercial strategy. Herbs. Her shirt on Manchester United's website sold out. Third best-selling shirt. So who says it's not selling, she says. It's the young kids I'm most concerned about. They're going to say, Mom, Dad, can I have a Mary Earp shirt? And they have to say, you can't, but I can get you an Alessia Russo or a Rachel Daly. So what you're saying is goalkeeping isn't important, but you can be a striker if you want. That's why the participation rate is so much lower. It's a very hard position to play, but it's not facilitated, and it's a massive way of excluding a huge part of the demographic. That's why I'm so passionate and desperate to change that. Big businesses don't do enough. Gone through every imaginable step behind the scenes. Maybe if it was proactively brought to my attention, Earp said 6 months ago we could have come up with a solution. I offered to buy the shirts myself. Went to the FA to see if we could make something, and to be fair, my understanding is the FA tried. They put a bit of the technical budget to one side to try to find a solution. It's also none appear to be available on the Nike website. Men's keeper shirts produced in limited numbers. Quote, if that was the conversation we're having, that not enough are being produced, that's one conversation, but for it not to be available is a totally different thing. Herbs has even launched her own small T-shirt brand, and she feels she's let people down. There should really be a public acknowledgement, she says. I get comments all the time on social media. She feels really bad. A massive portion of the fans have been truly let down. She hopes after the World Cup, obviously, things can pick up in the conversations. But she also says, quote, that adds pressure on the team and myself, something I have to deal with as a player at the top. I'm going to strive to perform my absolute best level so I can look back on the conversations and be in a strong position. But she feels it shouldn't work like that. Are we just going to talk about these things if you're successful? That's a damaging message, she says. We shouldn't be asking for the bare minimum at this point. These things should be non-negotiable regardless of success. So, GK Union fired up, rightfully so. And, yeah, Tom saw that about Tony Bennett. 96. Morning, Abby. And it is that time, since it is 9:30 on a Friday morning, where we get to do stuff and we get to talk to folks who've actually played the game and really know what they're doing, and they're doing some really cool stuff at the next level. Time to catch up with our friends from Beyond Goals. Greg Garza joining us here.
What's up? Good morning. How you doing?
You're the busy man, so we gotta catch up with you on a bunch of different fronts, my friend. You've been very, very busy. But when we say that in the off season you're busy, I don't think there is an off season for mentoring, is there?
I don't. There's never an off season for mentoring. I think to keep that consistency and keep that mindset going, it's always needed.
So when you're having these kinds of, and I mean, you were mentoring, I think it was the last time you were scheduled, you had a coaching session, a mentoring session, and you were helping folks out. What in the off season, when it comes to mentoring and keeping the paths on the straights, what do you do in playing off season when you're mentoring?
Yeah, for sure. It's for the most part, it's really just helping kids prepare themselves for what's next. If they're joining a new team, if they have some kids that will be joining their new team, just the leadership roles that they can create within their environment. And a lot of times, I think we mentioned before that a lot of kids a lot of my mentees want to start to get back into the mix of things, and they want to start to work on the physical things. And I'm a person who doesn't say no very often. So if they ask me, hey, can we go on a run, or can we do a gym workout, or can we do this, especially for the older boys, I will definitely always be available, because at the end of the day, it shows that they're committed, and it shows that they want it, they want it bad. And I think that's something that I can't teach, right? That's something that I give tips and guides to, but I can't teach that inner drive and inner motivation. And so when they ask me to tag along and stuff like that, I really enjoy it.
When the light comes on for your mentees, and they understand that drive's got to be there, and it's got to be a 12-month thing, and then they really become fully invested. What's it like for you and Michael and everybody there at Beyond Goals when that light comes on for one of your mentees?
It is very gratifying. I think the best thing for me so far about being a mentor is whether you're hearing something from the parents, that is just a huge developmental growth within the mindset of that child, or it is sometimes just in general that child or that player, that student athlete that is taking the rein and taking the reins, and really just running away with it, and kind of understanding the 1% extra that we always talk about, understanding uh, what Parky always says, the 24/7 athlete. And along with that goes the rest period, and goes with the decompressing, and goes with getting away from it mentally. But at the same time, a lot of that is also keeping yourself accountable and responsible, and creating goals for yourself, and creating challenges for yourself that you're able to achieve. And um, you know having that sense of accomplishment, especially for us, and say, okay, this kid truly wants it, no matter what this kid does. I mean, we all know the reality, and the hard truth is that percentage of someone to become pro is very difficult. But I always like to think these kids will become pro at whatever they do because of their mindset. And that's such a great thing to see when you do have those kids that want to go above and beyond.
When you have mentees and they want to set those goals for the next level, are they doing it in an incremental, and meaning in a step by step, where they sit there and it's like, okay, I have this set idea in my mind. I know that I want to get to destination X, but they understand that it's a process. Uh, do they do they have that aspiration about getting to that final destination? Do they want to skip parts? Do you have to kind of bring them back to understand that it's an incremental kind of a thing? We always sit there and it's like, yeah, I want to do, I want to be president of the United States. Well, you might want to start by being a local representative first, and then go to Congress, and then do those kinds of things. But no, I want to be president. There are steps here. Do you have to remind them about the steps in the process sometimes?
For sure. I think the older the kid is, the more that I think the reality in life starts to hit them a bit more. They start to realize, okay, how far can I truly take this? And that's even something that I even tell my own kids. I even tell my oldest son. I say, look, it is. I want you guys to always dream as big as you can dream, because you never know when dreams can come true. You never know how dreams can come true, and they can, because I've lived that. We've all lived it in many different ways. Um, but you really challenge yourself to say, okay, how far can this take me? And how far can I take it once I start to get to these different levels? The increments of each level, yeah, is obviously there's different parts of it, the ups and downs, the highs, the lows. One thing I always tell kids, and it's a pretty cool story, and I had read it. I'd read it probably about a year ago now, and I use it in a lot of my sessions. Is just the Chinese farmer proverb. It's the Chinese farmer and his son proverb, owning a black stallion, and that is such a good Chinese proverb to read, because or just even listen to somebody speaking about it, because
Well,
it, it, it
what is it?
shows.
I've never heard this. What is it?
I'll recommend it to you, and it's a long story, and I'll kind of let you read it on your own, and that way, next time you and I chat, I don't want us to take up the whole time just speaking about the Chinese farmer and his son and their black stallions. So I'll let you read it, but it just uh, there's so many different, I think, morals of that story that kind of help kids understand the whys behind things, or each and every moment that they go through. And if I were to give like the best definition or the best piece of advice for kids, it is to read that story and take it to heart, because that's how life is going to be, and that's how your soccer career is going to be. That's how a specific game is always going to be. And it's just the different levels of what you talked about, kind of trying to understand how to cope and go through each level, whether they be a really high one or be a really low one.
Where else do you find your education when it comes to your mentees? I know obviously there's the real world experience, but you mentioned Chinese proverbs and things like that. Where else do you find your education as you continue to grow as a mentor?
It's from a lot of things. I think you were the one that recommended Range for me, right? The book Range. Did you recommend that for
No, I
me?
did not. No, I did not recommend Range. I recommended
Okay.
Art of War by Sun Tzu.
Okay, okay. I need to read that then. So I have, I try. It's so tough sometimes. Where I feel like when you are an entrepreneur, to find time to read, to go over things. I like to listen to a lot of things. I like to watch a lot of motivational videos. I feel like in my spare time, I'm always, this is where I think it gets so cool, is because in my spare time, I feel like I'm either working out and still trying to keep in shape, or I'm trying to find things that are going to better my teachings within my mentoring sessions. And I think that just goes to show that I always tell kids. I had a great question for me yesterday, actually, yesterday afternoon. And it was an older kid, and he's 16 years old, and he plays at Atlanta United. And his first question for me, he just won. They just won the MLS, right? The MLS playoffs.
Mm-hmm.
And the first question he had for me was, "How do you deal with temptation?" And man, that was a hard question, because I said, "In what ways?" Well, he said, "Well, I now have a girlfriend. Sometimes with food, I am tempted to eat bad things for me, and all these different things that just go along with temptation of maybe not training because I want to go hang out with my girlfriend, or maybe not doing this because I want to go hang out with my friends, or all of these different things." And I kind of use that same analogy or that same phrase for me, is because even what I'm doing right now is still towards trying to help me be a better mentor. And everything that I felt like I did in my career was always towards trying to be a better player. And that was the advice that I gave him, is that, look, every decision that you make, you have to think, okay, is this going to help me become a better player, and this is my biggest priority, or is this going to kind of make me fall down the ladder, or kind of hurt me into becoming that better player that I want to be. And in every decision that we make, it's like I always told him, look, here in Atlanta, my son would train on Friday nights, and our games would be on Saturday. And I remember every Friday night, our family would go out, and they'd go out with friends, and they'd go to like eat wings and Wingstop, and that'd be on a Friday night. Well, yeah, that was a lot of temptation for me to look at those wings and tell myself, okay, if I eat this, this is really going to damage my performance for tomorrow. And I had to kind of just really control myself and think to myself, hey, if I make this decision, I might cramp up in the 70th minute. So you know what? I need to understand that it's not going to help me. And I think I still have that mindset within even my mind today. But it's good for kids to ask those sorts of things, because it is real. It is very real for them once they start to get older.
Because it sounds like with temptation comes the introduction to discipline and the maintenance of discipline when you have all these different temptations.
Most definitely, discipline, and that goes along with that 24/7 athlete, and that kind of iceberg, diagram that Parky always shows, of everything that's beneath, right? It's always the funny question that you ask Parky if he misses playing professional soccer, and he always says no, he doesn't miss it one bit. And coming from him, it's just so funny, because we always see him as like the older dad. But I think in a way, I do see truth in that. I do see a lot of that, because there are so many different sacrifices that you have to make, to try and be successful at anything that you want. And most people that look at you, or most people that kind of view even these kids, Even this kid that has now won the MLS, cup in their age group, and is labeled as the best team in the nation within their age group, is still thinking about temptation and still having to really uh, understand what the word discipline means and those sacrifices that come along with it. And that's very true. Even when you're at the top, you still have those bounds of temptation, and it's really interesting to see how these kids' minds work. And I love getting questions like that, and I love that kids are able to be honest and share and kind of open up, and that's what it's all about. You only learn from experience whenever you're able to ask questions. And I always encourage every single one of my mentees and every single player to ask any question, because there is no silly or stupid question, because it then creates a spark for us to speak about more things, instead of trying to follow a necessary or a certain guideline that it's just going to be repetitive over and over, because that kid might not think the same way as another.
Well, and at the same time, and I do the same thing when, I'm talking to college interns or high school students about being in the business, and I always say, and kids naturally, and I say kids because I'm 720 years old, but kids, when they're in these environments, young men and women, when they're in these environments, you're a stranger. Yeah, you're somebody that they watch or look up to or whatever, or have a reference point to. But there is that concern about asking the stupid question. And yes, I did just use air quotes. And I tell them, like you say, there's no such thing as a stupid question, because I can guarantee you someone else has asked it before, and the answer will help more. It will help more than just you, because I can guarantee you that there are other folks in that same group that have that same thought but don't want to ask the question. So when you have a lot of folks that don't want to ask a question, it's a common thought that needs to be addressed. Don't ever be afraid to hold back in a situation, because you're holding back from your own learning in that aspect.
Majorly, you want these kids. I mean, kids are all sponges, right? They're able to really listen and retain a lot of different pieces of information. And I always tell every kid, even I motivationally spoke and took my kids yesterday, um, to a boys and girls club, and we spent the whole day there, helping in an after-school program or a summer program for kids that are in boys and girls or soccer in the streets. It was an awesome time. But I always tell kids whenever we sit together in the room, I do not expect you to remember everything that I say, because I throw out a lot of different information. But if there is something that you do hear and listen to and tell yourself, that will really help me, that will guide me through a certain situation or circumstance, or something that I'm going through, then that's what it's all about.
Is there a question that you wish you would be asked but have not?
Oh, that's a tough answer. That's a tough question to answer. You know, it's
I mean, is there
let's look at
something? Is there a lingering thought that you wish that they would ask, that you could address for one reason or another? It's like, you might be after the end of a mentoring session, and you sit there and you're in your car and you go, man, I wish I'd thought about that, something like that. Because I'd like to think that not every question has ever been asked, and that's why I'm asking, is there a question that you wish that they would ask, or ask even more, even if it's never been asked, or maybe they should ask it more than they do?
Yeah, uh, I think one of the I guess one of the main things that Parky and I really notice and see, and I guess this is more so to just the why of mentoring, and I think most kids and most parents and most families, um, really seek answers when they are in moments or times of desperation. And I think, one thing that I would want to see more of is how to not get there, how to really create moments of consistency within the mindset to not get to that moment of desperation to where you feel like you need some answers to your questions. And I guess that's kind of shying away from your question, but I would want to see more of kids that are doing well and trying to keep that level of consistency and asking those sorts of questions. How do I stay here? How do I not get distracted and move myself into other places, or if there is a low, how to deal with those things, rather than when I would say a vast, a high majority of the kids that we speak to are usually kids that are going through a really tough moment. Um, and I think that would probably be my answer of wanting to see more kids that are sometimes doing quite well within everything that they have and are confident, but wanting to keep that consistency. I find that so important.
Yeah, and one of the things that we have gotten into today, thankfully, and it's a generational thing where folks that are of a certain demographic, we were taught, or we were it was pretty much enforced that you're supposed to you're supposed to stick it out. You're not supposed to ask for help. You're supposed to do things yourself. You're supposed to come up with your own sorting, and if you're feeling down, just push through it, and all those kinds of things. And uh, as we've gone and grown through that element, now it's safe to say it's encouraged, and I wish that folks would do it more, to sit there when somebody said, when you're asked, how are you? Sit there and go, yeah, I'm all right. Odds are you're not. And when you have someone who wants to be there to help and help you go through and navigate something, I think it's important for folks to sit there and say, no, I'm not doing okay today. So that way it's not internalized, and that way it's not kept inside. And that way you can try to find solutions from directions that you might not have anticipated finding a solution previously, but it's because you took that first step of sitting there and acknowledging, no, I'm not okay today.
Most definitely. Yeah, I think a lot of people have gotten a lot better at sharing their emotions, and yeah, I truly believe what you said. The generational part of it has changed that. We were created to always be tough tough minded and
Mm-hmm.
not really share too much, and I do feel like kids are able to share a lot more, and whether that's through social media or through their phones. But it does give them a platform to kind of have that ability. But it can be a double-edged sword, right? You,
Yeah.
you you have that ability to share your emotions, and that gives everybody else that's watching around you the chance to judge. And that can be tough sometimes for this new generation.
Yeah, especially because it can come at you from more directions. You mentioned social media, and how we're locked into these things. We're locked into our phones, we're locked into our laptops, we're locked into communication and all the different social media platforms and things like that. And back in my day, when you walked uphill both ways in the snow 30 miles to go to school, it was just that one. It was literally, the one-way traffic. It was the folks that were around you, your immediate sphere of influence. That was how you dealt with things, and you either dealt with them or came up with solutions in different ways. Now, the fact that it comes at you from all of these different areas, it's almost like sensory overload and trying to sort out what is correct and what needs to be there for you. And it really does take it takes a lot for a young person, and I don't care how old you are or what you're exposed to. It takes a lot for a young person today to sort through all of that ish, and I'm going to use that word because that's what it is a lot of the time, to just focus and get better. I mean, I give a lot of credit to young people today for having the courage to sort through things because of all of those different directions that you can get piled on from.
Yeah, most definitely. I think it's given them the benefit to have more people around them to share their thoughts and ideas. But I always tell kids, who did I tell? I told a kid the other day who had just that was what it was. We were visiting just some friends on July 4th, And that was the one piece of advice that I had given a kid who had asked me, what is it like whenever you make it to that next level or that next stage and you're able to kind of accomplish everything that you wanted. And this kid is playing in D1 college and might have the chance to go pro at one point. And I looked around and I saw I saw this kid's friends around him um, at their house and his family and his parents and aunts and uncles. And that's the advice that I gave him. I said, although there is an abundance of people that you might meet in all different places, but just always remember to keep your circle very, very small, because that's something that I think that is truly needed. Within the professional environment, and even just in general, keeping your circle very small, and obviously that trust and that bond that you have with a lot of people. It's always great to be kind and have friends, but just those people that you're always and committed to and talking to on a regular basis. I think that should be a very small circle, especially within the professional environment, because I think that's those are the people that no matter what will always support you and will be there for you in those highs and lows.
Greg Garza, Beyond Goals Mentoring, hanging out with us here for the Friday Free Kick. How big is your circle?
Not very big at all. Very, very, very small. And I think it's just along the years I've really seen it. I think especially after retiring, um, especially after retiring, you really see who's there for you. And I think even myself of just going through so many injuries in my career as well, also who's really there for you. And it's not necessarily I'm not a big person about you have to message me on my birthday, or you have to uh, talk to me after a huge surgery or see if I'm okay. Just because I believe that all I feel like growing up so fast and being away from my family at such a young age, I feel like every holiday is just another day, because I've just felt like I've worked my whole life and on all of those holidays, and always stuck to the plan and every single one of those holidays. But I think it was pretty eye opening to see for me, eh, especially after my career, to really see people who would stick around and be there for me in those tough times. And yeah, my circle is very, very, very small.
Well, because I would imagine that when you have a circle that you're a part of, you don't have to text me every day. You don't have to call me every day. If you call and if it's a certain day of the week, and then that way it's a way we catch up and decompress and those kinds of things. But I would think that the biggest request that you could have with your circle is, if I reach out, just pick up. It doesn't matter, if it's at 2:30 a.m., I know that if I reach out to you, you'll pick up the phone. Those kinds of things. That to me is what constitutes that circle that we always talk about.
Most definitely, yeah. When somebody is in need or you're in need, that guy or that person in general is going to have your back, and that for me has been a major wake up call, and obviously something that I take to heart. It's I think professional players in general, you make all of these different friends and all of these different environments and teams that you're in. But once you kind of hang up your boots, you realize that those guys who are still playing, uh, they're making new friends, and they're creating new. They have to, because they have to create that camaraderie within the environment that they're in. And I think sometimes you lose touch with a lot of those people. When you do see them, because it's such a small soccer world, you give them a gigantic hug and ask how their family is and everything. But I think once again, going back to like what you said, I don't think those would be those guys that I would call on a regular basis, or try and catch up to as much as much as I would other people. And I always recommend to players, look, it's a very dog eat dog environment that you're in. and to always try and find friends sometimes outside of soccer.
Yes.
Soccer can bond you guys, and it can be a way to meet people. But my best friend in my life was my first mortgage consultant within buying my first home in California, and I mean, I already bought homes in other places, but he was the first guy that I had met and trying to do that, and was such a massive help, and we just kicked it off from the very get-go. And I mean, now I've known him for, gosh, 8 9 years, maybe 8 8 9, yeah, 9 years. And I mean, goes to show that, I mean, I can call him about absolutely anything. I had someone reach out to me, a real estate agent reach out to me, say, hey, do you know anybody that can help me? Yesterday morning at 7 a.m. And the first thing I did was call my best friend back in Cali. It's 4:30 in the morning. um, and I said, yeah, I know a guy is my best friend. And he picks up, and, just so thankful for giving him that opportunity. But is always there, and I think that's something that we try and look out for each other, in those ways, and kind of try and help each other, always move forward. And I love watching things. It's like I just say that word, move forward, and the Arnold Schwarzenegger documentary on Netflix was so interesting for me to see how that guy's mindset is. And one thing that he said that really stuck out to me was just how his mind is always geared. He just has this special mindset of how his mind is always geared to move forward. And he said that's very difficult. And he says, as silly and dumb as that sounds, most people, most people always tend to move back to, right, what has happened, or why this has happened. This has happened because of this or that in the past, or all of these different things. And he said, if you can gear your mind to always move forward, then you give yourself a better chance of now focusing on that next project, or now focusing on that next achievement, or now focusing on that next goal or objective that you have. And that's such a good piece of advice.
Because you have to work on the next achievement and that next goal, because you're always going forward, Greg Garza. That is how this goes.
I knew you'd have that up your sleeve, man. I love it.
Absolutely. You know that how it goes on the Friday mornings when we have the caffeine in our system. We try to make sure that we know what we are talking about.
I love it.
What's it like hanging out with Atlanta United officially, with you and Parky doing Beyond Goals?
Man, we are so grateful for that opportunity. It's something that we've been doing for quite some time now. We've really created a good relationship with them, and now to kind of officialize it and put it out there for the world to know. And I hope that I hope that continues to open the doors for for other clubs as well, and allows us to serve as big brothers for these young players that are going through something very similar that we did. And I think that it's extremely important for these kids to have not only their parents and coaches, but to have people that can guide them in each and every phase, and within their own journey, whether that be becoming a pro and holding on to that opportunity and not letting go of it, or whatever they want to be successful in life once they get to that stage.
Abby wants to know where you're watching the women's national match against the Vietnam.
I will answer some of the comments before I go. Some of the questions. I only ate one cup of ice cream the whole entire time, and it was at the very end because I was really hot. I'm sure all you guys were at the supporter section last, but it was such a fun time handing out ice cream to everyone. I would definitely do it again. If we can hand out ice cream there every single time, by Brewster's for free, for sure. Like, bring it on.
Yeah,
But I will actually be watching the game at home. My oldest son has a soccer tournament, 4v4 tournament at Silverbacks. So they are hosting the game at Silverbacks Bar. But I don't know if anybody's ever been to Silverbacks Bar before. It can get a little rowdy.
yes.
So I'm the least rowdy person you probably would ever meet.
No.
So I will be coaching my son's games from 5:30 to like 8:30 in the dying heat, and then I will be coming back to some AC. Uh, it's so funny because these people ask, "Hey, can your son play on this team?" And yeah, sure. Can you help coach? I guess, yes, yes, but it should be interesting. It should be fun. I'll just scream at my son and nobody else. That's my coaching ways are much different than my parenting ways. I think just more so because of my level of expectation. And it's so interesting because as a parent, I just sit back and watch, and I won't say a darn thing, and I'll be in the corner and the furthest one away. But when I'm coaching, I then have to know I know that level of expectation that I expect, and that should be something that hopefully even my son and others, I always tell them that should be something that you take the pride, because if I have a high level of expectation for you on the field, then that means I think very highly of you. So if I'm not saying anything at all when I'm coaching, then that's never a good thing. It's probably better for me to get on to you rather than not say a word at all.
No doubt. What was your cheat food when you were a professional athlete?
Cheap food when I was a professional athlete, I'm always going to go with, if I had to choose one food to eat for the rest of my life, it would be pizza.
Atta boy.
Yeah,
That's the
any
way.
any type of pizza. I will eat anything on pizza. I mean, in Mexico, they have like an onion pizza, which like hundreds of sliced onions on pizza, and I'll eat it. Whatever type of pizza, it doesn't really matter. Pepperoni, supreme, meat lovers, cheese. Any type of, if I had to choose one food, it would be pizza for the rest of my life for sure.
Okay. And next time that you do coach, can you coach in an Arnold Schwarzenegger accent?
Oh, I don't know. I can do a lot of accents. I don't know if I have Arnold's yet. I don't know if I have Arnold's yet. I'll
Hey,
have to.
Mr. Fisher, what was that call all about? You know that he was falling down, he was faking, something like that.
Oh, okay. All right. I'll have to think about it. I'll have to think about it. Yeah, I'm pretty good with accents, but I don't know if I have the Arnold down yet. I'll have to practice it. And the next time we're on the show, we'll just do a whole 30 minutes of Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Oh, see now, see now, you challenged it there. So next time out, we're doing the entire segment in an Arnold Schwarzenegger.
I wouldn't last. I wouldn't last. I would just start dying laughing after the first sentence, man. Yeah.
Because it is Greg Garza of our friends at Beyond Goals Mentoring at BG Mentoring on the Twitters. Greg, you have a good weekend, sir. You make sure that everybody is doing the right things and doing them the right way, because if they don't, you're going to have to get after them. Do you understand?
Danke.
Do you understand the mission that we are talking
I
about?
love it. I love it. Dankeschön. Dankeschön. Dankeschön.
Yeah. All right, be good, my
Yeah.
friend.
All right. See you later, bud.
Oh, goodness gracious. See, now Greg has opened a door where we're going to be doing, do not tempt John with content. Alex is absolutely true. Apparently, while we were talking about things with Beyond Goals, there's a bit of an interesting posting on the Bird app. And we'll get into that coming up in just a little bit, and we'll get all that squared away as we start hour number 2. Here in hour number 2, we're getting you ready for the weekend. We're getting you ready for Leagues Cup. We're watching the Open Championship. We're watching the Women's World Cup late at night. We're going to tease what's going on there. Brian Harmon shot a 65 today at the Open at Hoylake. And so he has a 5-shot advantage. He is in the clubhouse at 10 under par, only guy in double digits. So there you go for UGA. So since it is past the top of the hour, now that we're done with our friends at Beyond Goals for another week, time to cut a promo, because all I have to do is hit the button called Rock, and we get to read. For odor-free wow, that's a good way to start. Take 2. For odor-free, clean, fresh air, we could get our upper plate to work on a Friday. It's a Lemonized service. QR code over my left shoulder for those of you who are watching on Twitch. Deodorizing enclosed spaces like houses, apartments, and condos, a Lemonized service has created a customized solution that eliminizes all organic odors, including those like pet, cigarettes, and food. Realtors and property managers use a Lemonized service to eliminate bad odors to help them accelerate their homes that much faster. It's a turnkey process. Makes it easy to work with said realtors and property managers. Kind of the environment we like that these days. Very green way of getting rid of odors without any kind of toxic residue whatsoever. Different than Febreze or our favorite masking agents that we have either underneath the sink or above us in the cupboard, because when we reach underneath the sink or above us in the cupboard and take out that masking agent and spray it in the air, there's a reason they call it a masking agent, because it just masks the odor. It doesn't attack the problem like our friends at Lemonized Service do with their proven scientific formula all the way down to the molecule. Pricing one of 2 ways, either by the cubic foot or parts per million, to come up with a price that's affordable for you. Offering results in 24 hours or less. you have any questions, frequently asked or otherwise, you go to their website, and this is where I grab my pen, or at least I show the pen in the screen. Website's lemonize.com, but after the .com, do us a favor here at SDH, go /Atlanta so they know what part of the world that you are addressing them from so they can help you with your problem. Full homework assignment, ELIMINIZE.com /Atlanta, lemonize.com /Atlanta. The Lemonize service, proud sponsors of everything SDH as we go through and get you set up for the weekend here on a Freestyle Friday. Now, after the initial screw-up, kind of like the national anthem. You want to try to get it in with like a minute 35 or less. And so we have succeeded in that part. All right. So what you guys were discussing before, what was going on. Apparently, there's another Diego Rossi rumor from our friends at Shibuklu Sports, otherwise known as @Sports Shibuklu on the Twitters. I will write down the Twitter account to add to all of the other Twitter accounts in Turkey that we are following. Sports Shibuklu. Okay, that's not too bad. All right, Sports Shibuklu. Quoting folks about Diego Rossi. Quote, it's only a matter of time before Diego Rossi transfers to Atlanta United from the USA teams in Fenerbahce. So, Shibuklu Sports in Turkey, and looking at them on the Bird app, they have 92,000 followers on the Bird app for what that's worth. So, Bird app, third source, third particular element of the Bird app from Turkey, 2 reporters, and now a networkish kind of a thing, is tying Diego Rossi to Atlanta United. Once again, we've got about 11 days, 30 days, 12 days. 12 days left in the transfer window, and we'll keep an eye on that. So now we have officially 3 different locations on the Bird app of decent numbers of followers, not just somebody who's like in their basement or something and sitting there and saying, I've got 327 followers. No, this is like thousands and hundreds of thousands of followers, depending on if we're talking about the reporter or the agency itself. Shibuklu Sports is now saying it's only a matter of time before Diego Rossi transfers to Atlanta United from the USA teams in Fenerbahce. So we'll see what happens there with Diego Rossi. 12 days left in the window, and we will see what is going on there. For those that are engaged on the Discord, public service announcement. Picks of the week. I saw them posted. Leagues Cup edition on Discord. Rules are there. Get your picks in by 8 o'clock tonight, technically 7:59 if you want to join. So if you're on the Discord, then 7:59 is your deadline. Leagues Cup picks pool going on. Highly recommended. Because if I did it, I'd finish last. You don't want that. So we got that going on. Alex, did Greg get Scooper's elbow last weekend? Yeah, he looked like he was okay because I mean he was sipping his coffee, so it looked like he was doing anything. Has anyone not seen a public service announcement from Tom? Tom is wanting to know, has anyone not seen the Spain-Costa Rica score? Has anyone not seen the Spain-Costa Rica score? I have seen it, and I know it exists. So, considering it happened in the middle of the evening, don't want to spoil anything if not watching it now. Don't tell Tom the final. So, we're not going to tell Tom the final. Tafka, really hard to get your head around the size of the Leagues Cup tournament. Yeah, we got juice boxes. We'll get into that coming up in just a little bit. Spain is dominating. 15 groups. Excited for it. Leagues Cup. All right. So Leagues Cup, we got juice boxes here when we're discussing Leagues Cup. And by the way, did you know that this is that apparently, possibly, probably, maybe this Messi guy is going to be active in this tournament? Did you know? Did you know? Did you know? It's going to happen. Maybe, perhaps. I got to figure out where it is. North and Central America. Okay, so here's our Leagues Cup juice boxes for the weekend. For Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, as we get into leagues play. 8 o'clock tonight, this Messi dude is apparently going to be a part of a team called Inter Miami, and they are going up against Cruz Azul, and it is a Inter Messi CF's a plus 117. Your draw's a plus 248. Cruz Azul is a plus 212. Also at 8 o'clock, purple team's playing Houston. Orlando City's a minus 101. Your draw is a plus 247. And Houston on the road is a plus 256. 8:30, Austin and Mazatlan tonight. Austin is a minus 127. Draws a plus 266. Mazatlan is a plus 318. 9 o'clock, FC Dallas in the incredibly temperate combines of the stadium in Frisco are a plus 102. No wonder they pushed that one back to 9 o'clock, considering how temperate it's going to be in that particular game. 9 o'clock. So when we mention Liga MX, we'll go into the standings and things like that, just so you have a knowledge base of what you're looking at with these teams. Charlotte's plus 263. Your draw's a plus 231. And shocking no one, Teise, now that we are past 10 o'clock Eastern time, has a 5-box live shot outside DRVP and K, studio host, full screen, pictures of Cruz Azul at practice, file tape of Lionel Messi. Oy, juega Leo. So they're fired up. I know that shocks you. And then Leon right now is at 10:30. They are playing the Vancouver Whitecaps as the home side. Leon is a plus 167. Your draw is a plus 242. The Whitecaps on the road are a plus 148. So your table, you click on something and you want something to happen. You sit there and you want something to go. Then they're like, hey, you want to see this? And you're like, yeah. And then they change it up on you. Gee, thanks. Remember, they started the Apertura 3 weeks ago in Liga MX just to kind of get their feet under them. The teams that we have mentioned so far that are playing tonight in Liga MX, Cruz Azul, Mazatlan, and Leon. Cruz Azul, dead last. They've scored 1 goal, given up 6. Mazatlan, 15th in the League of 18. They are 15th on goal difference. 3 matches played, 1 goal scored, 4 goals allowed. 2 draws in their 3 matches. Leon is 18th with a win and 2 draws, or a win and 2 losses. They're at 3 points right now. So the teams that are playing tonight out of Liga MX, 11th, 15th, and 18th in the new Apertura. Tomorrow, 7:30, Montreal hosting Pumas. Montreal's a plus 141. Your draw's a plus 241. Pumas is a plus 177. Red Bulls are on the minus side hosting the Revs. Union are on the minus side hosting Club Tijuana. Club Tijuana, by the way, they are in 8th. They've hit each column. They're 1-1-1 out of the blocks in Liga MX. RSL, plus 104 hosting Seattle. Portland, minus 105 hosting San Jose. Sunday, New York City is plus 102 hosting Atlas. Atlas is 7th in the table on goal difference at 1-1-1. Crew, minus 139 hosting St. Louis City. All caps are a plus 326 on the road. FC Cincinnati, minus 114 hosting Sporting. Nashville SC at minus 145 hosting Colorado. Puebla is the home side against Minnesota United. Minnesota United is a minus 118 going up against Puebla. Puebla is next to last in the table in Liga MX. They are at 1 point. They have 1 draw in 3 matches. They have given up 7 goals. So so you have what? 7, 8, 11, 15, 17, 18. And Pachuca, just so you know, Pachuca is in the bracket involving Atlanta United. Pachuca right now is in 16th. 2 draws and a loss. They've given up an average of 2 goals a match. So should Atlanta United get out of the group stage, Pachuca will be in that bracket low right. Just to kind of keep you up to date on that kind of stuff. Yes, we'll get into that. Let's see. What have I missed here in the Twitch pitch? Dying to see a whole parody based on MLS matches up against the other teams in Liga MX we never really see. Ricky's going to be watching as many MLS Liga MX matchups as possible. D. Graham doesn't care about Leagues Cup. It is the Europa Conference League of CONCACAF. Well, yeah, because I mean, if you're in that vein, it was created. But if CONCACAF Champions League and D. Graham, I'm trying to follow along here. If the CONCACAF Champions League is Champions League, then technically wouldn't this be Europa, even though I know that Europa Conference League was created just to let more teams in, and this was created to have a tournament and all those kinds of things. Is Apple and Season Pass doing a wraparound show for Apple for Leagues Cup? Let's see. Let's check. I'm checking my Apple subscription here and seeing if we get, hey, there's that Messi guy. He's on the front cover. I got Leagues Cup schedule, Leagues Cup previews in Spanish, conference, All-Star Week, MLS Next Pro schedule with, once again, that's going to get business picking up. I do not see anything 360-ish or wraparoundy yet. As I look at my front page of my subscription. So Tafka, that is a do not know. So we'll see. 107 heat index in that area. Jeez. Yep. Tom, you mentioned this yesterday. It came across yesterday. Tommy Scoops, Tom Bogert, had mentioned this, that apparently, possibly, probably, it looks like Julian Gressel's getting traded again. And so, according to Tom Bogert, the idea for Gressel is that while the fans in Vancouver love him, he wanted to get back to the East Coast. And so it appears that possibly, probably, perhaps, Julian Gressel is going to be traded to Columbus. So Gressel to Columbus, according to those folks known as sources. Sources are saying this. According to Tommy Scoops, finalizing a deal. And this is Bogert's own copy. Gressel has been a standout for the Whitecaps this season with 3 goals, 5 assists, and 18 appearances. 16 starts. Final year of his contract, aiming to return to the East Coast. Previously played for Atlanta United, DC United, Providence College. Vancouver made Gressel a strong offer for a new contract, and though the player had a good time in Vancouver, his family's preference was to be on the East Coast, which meant that the two sides couldn't agree on a deal. When Columbus made an acceptable offer, Vancouver looped Gressel into the process. Originally acquired by Vancouver from D.C., he said he didn't find out until the deal was already done. D.C. didn't authorize Vancouver to speak to Gressel or his agent. You know, you want to be the one that controls the information. So it appears, not officially yet, but on the verge of being officially official, it appears that Julian Gressel will be going from Vancouver to Columbus. So that way, at least Vancouver can get some kind of assets in return, considering that it is the last year of his deal. Jordi Alba has signed with Inter Miami. Don't know about Iniesta or Luis Suarez yet. And we'll keep an eye on all of that. But the signing, the signing now of the one U20 and the DPs means that they can't sign any more U20s as of yet. Who knows how they'll have it as a frame of reference. But right now, as it's all laid out, you're looking at Messi inbound, Busquets there, Alba there, and the U20 that was picked up a couple days ago. So we'll see what else Inter Miami wants to do for the remainder of the window, and we'll see how they navigate the current salary structures. We'll also keep an eye out for that stuff. Tafka has filled out his bracket. Unashamedly chose nearly all Liga MX teams likely getting beat out in the group stage. Likely no. Hoping for it, yes, in all caps. Would it be deliciously hilarious? Hell yes, in all caps. Atlanta, Ricky's got Atlanta beating Monterrey in the third place match. Ideal lineup now, according to Will, if the Diego Rossi thing works its way to this side of the Atlantic. Rossi, Gigi, Tyler Wolf, Almada, Sosa, Ozzy. I think Ozzy would be probably coming in more off the bench to make sure that you get that sandpaper to lock things down, spot starting. Wiley put out the Miles, Lennon, Brad. Tafka chose Atlanta to win it all. Ricky found the press release for Apple and MLS and season pass. Doesn't look like they're going to be doing a 360 or a wrap-up show. Doug this morning has been at practice. Muyumba's visa is not yet here, so he is not training with the first team yet. So obviously keeping an eye on that going forward. They're hoping, meaning Atlanta United, that Muyumba gets his visa today or tomorrow. Machop Chol's official diagnosis is a high ankle sprain, so we'll keep an eye on that. And high ankle sprains, as we all know, can be very, very moody. So we'll keep an eye on the high ankle sprains and things like that. Hoping to be here Saturday. Cholo, the ankle sprain. Tom, what is this with Fabrizio Romano? See, all of this stuff is happening now. All of this stuff. All of the things. Al Ahly have improved their bid to Marco Silva after the initial rejection. €40 million 2-year deal. Silva will speak to Fulham and then make a final decision. He's got a $6 million out clause. He's got a $6 million out. And if Al Ahly wants to do it, then they probably will. Tafka, remember, fill out your brackets, folks. You got Leagues Cup in the Discord and fill out your brackets. I'm waiting to talk about the one match that Tom is watching, and we all know the final score for. But last night late, goalless draw, Canada. Man, I mean, Canada, you thought that perhaps you could get full points, but you don't. Canada, a goalless draw with Nigeria, big penalty save. Canada was going to have problems scoring goals in the first place. But goalless draw against Nigeria. And keep an eye on that. Team that isn't scoring goals, doesn't score any when they had the chance to do it, penalty saved, goalless draw. So keep an eye on that group. Switzerland, and I know that Will was hot about this one, where the Philippines apparently got screwed over. Switzerland at a minus 556, 1-2-0. And the Spain-Costa Rica match, which started at 3:30 this morning, but we're being nice. So Tom can watch the end of the movie and see how it happens. Butler did it. I thought Nigeria was going to score 2, but they did not. They had a lot of chances. They really did. But we're looking at Emilio. It might be just me and my voice. But yeah, Nigeria, Canada, goalless draw. Keep an eye on that group now. Keep an eye on that group. Today, as we all know, 9 o'clock start. 9 o'clock start. But you go to a Wild Heaven West End, it's going to be a full night. You get there early. You get to come and hang out with us at SDH. We're going to do a live show there in the plaza. We're going to hang out with you for a little while and kind of preview what's going on with the match with USA and Vietnam. And then you get to watch the match starting at 9 o'clock. And then Jason is going to do a live Atlanta Soccer Tonight at 11 after the match is over. And so it'll be a full night, full, F-U-L-L, a full night across the board. Full night across the board. So we're looking forward to seeing all of you folks at Wild Heaven West End tonight. Just so you know, draw with USA and Vietnam is a plus 3150. Vietnam is a plus 5732 in the composite, courtesy of our friends at Odds Portal. USA, it's just like they're even money. They're $1. It's so off the board that you really want to go there? Fine. But yeah, the USA massive favorite. Then in the overnight, it is Zambia, Japan. Japan's a minus 370 going up against Zambia, one of the debutantes of the tournament. They're a plus 766. Your draw is a plus 537. England and Haiti. England is a minus 5,000 going up against Haiti. Fantastic story. If you can find the stories on them about what they have been through to get to the tournament, it's fantastic stuff. Another debutante, but they're at a plus 4440. And then at 8 o'clock, it is Denmark and China. Denmark a minus 122. China's a plus 338. Your draw's a plus 250. So a very early morning, late night in Australia, New Zealand, but a very, very early morning for us. 3, 5:30, and 8 are your kicks. 3, 5:30, and 8. So you've got all that. So keep an eye on that. And obviously, once again, and if you're going, don't forget, bring school supplies. Our friends at Subaru of Gwinnett, they're bringing a Subaru. We want to fill it with as many school supplies as possible. Tell your friends. Las Ticas did not come back, Tom, just for the record. They did not come back. Bring school supplies with you. We want to stack, and I don't know what kind of Subaru it is. I don't know if it's a Forester or what have you, but Outlander, don't know. Bring school supplies. We want to fill that Subaru up so our friends at Subaru of Gwinnett can take the school supplies and help those who need them, because school's starting before you know it, and we always know folks that need help. So if you're coming to Wild Heaven West End tonight, bring school supplies. We're going to stack that Subaru up. Thanks to our friends at Subaru of Gwinnett, by the way, for doing that. And thanks to Scott Flood and the Flood Project for making this happen with us tonight. Going to be a massive crowd. And remember also, this is going to be Bart's last public appearance before he goes 30-something hours on a plane to go to New Zealand and to Australia. So Bart's last public appearance. Receive him warmly and appropriately, as you would imagine. So a lot of stuff tonight, Wild Heaven West End. Get there early. Enjoy the night. 9 o'clock kick, USA and Vietnam. Jason will be doing so. SDH will be doing a live pre-show. There'll be the match. Then live AST after with Jason. So it's going to be a long night, but it's going to be a fun one. So we're looking forward to seeing everybody there at Wild Heaven West End. News in and around. Apparently, Donnarumma and his partner Alessia Elefante have been attacked and robbed at their home in Paris and forced to escape to a nearby hotel. It's from Ben Jacobs. Quote, they're in shock at what happened, but doing well under the terrible circumstances, said a Team Raiola spokesperson. Both are now assisting with police in the investigation. Donnarumma lightly injured, Elefante unharmed. Donnarumma will still travel to Japan with PSG as normal tomorrow for preseason. So that's crazy stuff with Donnarumma. All we know, Abby says, it is a new Subaru. Fill up the new Subaru. That's your marching orders. It's a new Subaru. Fill it up. We were starting to talk about transfers with Inter Messi, and it looks like he may start off the bench. And chasing immediate results in Leagues Cup, 12 points out of the playoffs. Jordi Alba signs. Diego Gomez, the Paraguayan midfielder, is your U20. Signing him from Club Libertad. Arrives via the U22 initiative, partially designed once again to help clubs acquire overseas talent at a lower salary cap charge. Under contract through 26 with an option for 27. So, 6 goals, 4 assists, 51 appearances for Club Libertad, helping them claim 2 Paraguayan top-flight titles, made 4 appearances for La Albiroja, most recently in a friendly with Nicaragua last month. Midfield group, Busquets, Dixon Arroyo, Kramashi, Jean Mota, and Gregory. They are both recovering from long-term injuries, though. So they needed help in the midfield. Got a 20-year-old from Libertad. Charlotte. We mentioned all the other acquisitions. Charlotte transferring Nuno Santos back to Portugal. Back to a Portuguese top-flight side, Vitória de Guimarães, for an undisclosed fee. 11-month period, Santos played just 9 matches, 3 starts, 1 goal, and 1 assist. Orlando City has secured Junior Urso's return. Signed a contract through 23 with an option for 24. They parted ways in November of last year. According to Jonathan Siegel with MLS, move attributed to personal reasons that required Urso to return to his native Brazil. Played in 8 matches upon his return for top flight side Coritiba before becoming available. So Junior Urso is back. Also, when it comes to acquisitions, Minnesota United, the Loons have signed English defender Ethan Bristow from League Two side Tranmere Rovers. Signed him through 25 with an option for 26. Came up through Reading's Academy. Professional debut September 2020. More than 60 first-team appearances for Reading and Tranmere in league and cup competitions. So he'll add competition to the left-back spot alongside Kamar Lawrence, DJ Taylor. Third signing of the window along with Timu Pukki, Ismail Tajuri Shradi. Also, Philadelphia Union made a signing. And it was South African defender Olwetu Makanya from South African top-flight side Stellenbosch FC, 19-year-old, first ever U22 player for Philadelphia Union, signed through the 25 with options for 26 and 27. So, first ever U22 signing for Philadelphia Union, Olwetu Makanya, coming from Stellenbosch to add to their defense. So, that's your transfer tracker to get you up to date. Because remember, once again, you got about 12 days left in the window, and we'll keep an eye on all of that going forward. So, but once again, yeah, it looks like Messi. I don't know if you've heard of the guy, but it appears that Lionel Messi will be coming off the bench for this match against Cruz Azul on the weekend. And it is still the 5-box, or basically a 1x4 from our friends at TEIC, live shot outside the stadium. Hosts bouncing off questions. Video of Inter Miami from practice earlier this morning. File tape and a full screen. So that's where TEIC is with all of their information this morning when it comes to that guy that apparently is a big deal. So we'll keep an eye on all of that stuff. Also on the schedule this morning. Gossip, rumor, and innuendo. In addition to what we've been talking about with our friends here nationally, across the planet, Harry Kane will not sign a new deal with Spurs. Could be open to joining Bayern Munich. Kane will consider leaving Tottenham if the club decides to accept a transfer fee, but will not force a move this summer. So Spurs, if they're gonna boogie on this, they better do it now, because Harry Kane, if he's not going to push it, then he could leave on a free. Harry Kane leaves Spurs on a free. Could happen. Kane's not going to push for a deal, so it's up to Spurs to try to see if they want to get assets. They want to get some kind of financials to try to replace Harry Kane in some manner, way, shape, or form. Or do they want to make sure that that he goes for a free? Do something now, get resources back. Don't do anything. Do what's going to happen possibly with Kylian Mbappe. Villa have agreed on a deal with Bayer Leverkusen winger Moussa Diaby. Spurs have identified Aston Villa midfielder Douglas Luiz and Chelsea's Conor Gallagher as potential replacements for Pierre-Emile Højbjerg, who is in talks to join Atletico Madrid. But once again, that is the four-letter paper. As we always say, take the information at your own peril. Manchester City considering Lyon's Bradley Barcola as a potential replacement for Riyad Mahrez, a 20-year-old for a 32-year-old. PSG also keeping an eye on Barcola as well. Manchester United set to submit their opening bid to Atalanta for forward Rasmus Højlund, who's also wanted by PSG. That comes from Fabrizio Romano. David De Gea has rejected an offer of €5 million a year to join Inter Milan. According to the Daily Record, he's holding out for an after-tax salary of 10 after being released by Manchester United. Sadio Mane has agreed in principle to join Al Nassr. We mentioned the Marco Silva sweepstakes that is currently going on. Brighton closing in on a £15 million deal with Fiorentina for 25-year-old defender Igor Julio. West Ham stepping up their interest in James Ward-Prowse and are prepared to let midfielder Flynn Downs move in the opposite direction. Okay, that's an interesting make-weight. If PSG sell Mbappe this summer, according to Mundo Deportivo, they will immediately make a move for Manchester City's Bernardo Silva. Keep an eye on that. Manchester City are weighing up to a €120 million, €103 million move for Inter Milan midfielder Nicolo Barella if Silva chooses to join PSG. Manchester United keeping their options open about a permanent deal for Johnny Evans, the 35-year-old defender, having rejoined the club on a short-term contract after leaving Leicester. Erik ten Hag has told Harry Maguire he doesn't want him to leave Manchester United, despite taking the club captaincy off him and giving it to Bruno Fernandes. Crystal Palace, West Ham, and Leeds have registered an interest in signing Divock Origi from AC Milan, but they face competition from Saudi Arabia. Tell me if you've heard that before. With Steven Gerrard's Al Ettifaq set to offer a huge deal. Armando Broja set to stay at Chelsea and fight for his place next season. Despite interest from West Ham, Forest have set their sights on signing David Soria from Getafe. Although Keylor Navas, Dean Henderson, they're still chasing after. They should still be keeping Keylor Navas in their sights. They are chasing after Dean Henderson for $30 million, I believe. Burnley close to signing a deal with Espanyol for a U19 winger Luca Colaioccio. And they also signed Nathan Redmond. And if you have not seen the little video that they put out for the signing on Twitter, pulling a little Brooklyn Nine-Nine in there, very, very funny. Sevilla willing to offload Morocco forward Youssef En-Nesyri, who's been linked with West Ham in previous windows. Reading have agreed on a deal with Manchester United to sign U21 midfielder Charlie Savage on a permanent basis. That's round one of your gossip. Let's see what round two of the gossip is overseas. Every single time they ask me if I'm accepting the cookies, I always accept the cookies. It's like I always have. Every single time they always ask me this. We mentioned Eric Ten Hag and Harry Maguire with that situation. Ten Hag told MUTV, we respect Harry. Harry's very important for the squad and for this team. And in his role as center back, we have 4 center backs. Talked about consistency, and we know he can't do it with 11 players. And so I'm happy we have 4 very good center backs, and we'll need them. He has to fight for his place as he did last year. He has high potential. So I'm sure he will do it. He will fight for his place, and then it's up to him. Ola Aina has arrived at Nottingham Forest's preseason training camp. Have a medical ahead of a free. Right back's contract at Torino expired last month. We mentioned Dean Henderson. Forest also are chasing after Anthony Elanga. Henderson was on loan at Forest last year. You'll remember had a serious thigh injury in January that ruled him out for the rest of the season. Recovery from surgery is going well. Telo Asgard has signed a deal with Wigan in the lower divisions through 2028. Andre Onana, they're looking forward to that at Manchester United. Long-running dispute between Watford, Marseille, and Papa Gueye has been settled in Watford's favor. Watford announced the signing of Gueye from Le Havre in 2020. Supposed to become a Watford player when his contract expired about 2 months later. Instead, he switched agents and signed for Marseille in the summer, even though he'd signed a contract with Watford. Watford complained to FIFA, and in November 2021, the Dispute Resolution Chamber, which sounds like something out of Saw, Dispute Resolution Chamber ordered Marseille to pay Watford £2.1 million, banned him from registering players for 2 windows, and suspended Gueye for 4 months. Case goes to CAS, reached broadly the same conclusion as FIFA. They found that Gueye terminated his Watford contract without just cause. Marseille and the player have to pay Watford £2.3 million. Panel found that Marseille didn't induce the player to sign for them, so their transfer ban is lifted. Gueye's got 1 year left on his Marseille deal, spent the second half of last season on loan at Sevilla. Rangers have agreed a pre-contract deal with Jose Cifuentes, according to Michael Beale. Players out of contract at LAFC at the end of the year. Rangers are still working on a deal to sign Sifu in this window. So Sifu could be leaving LAFC, heading to Rangers. Keep an eye on that. We mentioned Moussa Diaby. Kyle Walker keen to talk to Bayern Munich about a possible move to the Bundesliga side, according to our friends at Sky. Bayern have been confident in their pursuit of Walker for several weeks. No agreement with Manchester City yet on a fee. Talks between the two clubs ongoing. Expect to be face-to-face with both sets of officials in Japan next week. City due to play Bayern on Wednesday as a part of their Asia tour. Not yet known whether Walker will feature in that match. Could you see Kyle Walker getting everything signed right like at halftime of the match? He plays the first half with Manchester City, signs with Bayern Munich, comes out for the second half in a Bayern kit. Substituting for Kyle Walker is Kyle Walker. Thought that Bayern is going to give him a 2-year deal with an option for a third. City currently only talking about a 1-year extension to Walker's existing contract. Jake Livermore signed on a free to go to Watford. Ange Postecoglou says he hopes that Harry Kane's situation is resolved quickly for the sake of all parties. Not going to give his striker a deadline to commit. Expiring at the end of the season, Bayern Munich are testing the Spurs' resolve, registering an interest. So there's that. 15 minutes left in the show. What are you guys expecting tonight out of the U.S. women's national team? What in this match are you anticipating? What are you expecting? What are you anticipating? Let me know. What are you looking at for starting 11? Expectations, other than everybody gets out healthy. You can't use that one. I just did. What are you anticipating out of tonight's match? In talking to Bart about it earlier this week, you got to put up a number, I would think, because I think everyone in the group is going to try and sit there and try to put up a number on Vietnam. So what you've got to do is you've got to be the first team to try to put up a number, and it's probably something like 6. You're looking at something 6-ish. Lots of AO shots because of lots of goals. Ricky, hopefully dominance. So legitimately, what are you guys looking at tonight for this one? Once again, 9 o'clock at Wild Heaven West End. But yes, it is on it's on those TV networks that are broadcasting it. But once again, Wild Heaven West End, 9 o'clock kick. What are you anticipating out of tonight? What would you like to see out of tonight? Who are you focusing on tonight when it comes to the women's national team? Who are you looking at? Who do you want to have a good match? Even though you can't necessarily take a whole lot out of a match against Vietnam, you've got to be putting up a number, probably 5, 6, somewhere in there, not giving up any goals, something like that. So that's what you're staring at. But let me know what your anticipation is other than filling a Subaru and being at Wild Heaven West End. Let me know what you're anticipating tonight. Going around the planet and looking at some of the other stories that we were getting background in. Andre Onana, according to James Ducker at the Telegraph, Abby, plays like a holding midfielder. So you've got a sweeper keeper coming. England, according to Tom Gary, Carly Theus, the Haitian keeper, 5 feet 4 inches tall. Brisbane Suncorp Stadium, a capacity of 52,500. Made it to their first ever World Cup, beating Chile in an intercontinental playoff back in February, ranked 53rd in the world. Lyon midfielder Melchi Dumornay, best young player in the world, 2022, alongside Jude Bellingham. Theus at 5'4" is one of the shortest shot stoppers in the competition. She said is never to have planned to be a goalkeeper, but has established herself as her country's number one. Plays for Aigle Briand. In a recent interview with BBC Sports, said there was no goalkeeper in my age group. I didn't want to play in goal, but I learned the mechanics, how to hold the ball, knowing when to dive, how to dive, things like that. I've been to tournaments where people said, Haiti, what's that? We want the world to know about Haiti and the talent we have. Manager Nicolas Delapine said in his pre-match press conference that England might not be firing on all cylinders in front of goal, referring to the Lionesses' run of 3 matches without scoring, saying, quote, they have great players. They're a very tough team to play. They're obviously very good on the attacking side, but they maybe have a problem with finishing. Later added when asked about England's dangers, we don't fear anything. We'll see what happens on the pitch. First, we have to play our football, our strengths, and it looks like Haiti's going to play 5 at the back. Arrived in Australia off the back of a 4-match losing run after defeats against Guatemala, Venezuela, Costa Rica, South Korea. However, earlier this year, they beat Senegal and Chile, and last year they beat Mexico, Cuba, and Costa Rica. So Haiti is going into this matchup without any kind of fear whatsoever. No fear at all in this match, nor should they. Now, I think that when you look at, teams in this tournament for the first time, you're going, we're going to go in there, we're going to do our thing. We're going to have fun doing it, and we're going to show how serious we are as a nation now that we're a part of this, the expanded party. And frankly, I'm looking forward to it. I'm looking forward to the debutantes myself. I'm looking forward to seeing how they all want to get that first step when it comes to the next stage of their football playing lives, those kinds of things. I'm really looking forward to that. Dumornay says, we're proud to be able to bring joy to the people of Haiti. There's a great piece in The Guardian on it. I think the match is over. Spain beat Costa Rica 3-0. Bonmati. First half strikes, own goal. Bonmati, Esther Gonzalez, 3-0 over Costa Rica. So, Switzerland beats the Philippines 2-0. Spain beats Costa Rica 3-0. Nigeria and Canada, goalless draw. Keep an eye on that. Keep an eye on Canada. Abby, we'll see you tonight. Really looking forward to it. And if there's a player that you don't know anything about, the Guardian's also got a guide on all 736 players. I'm not kidding. All 736 players. So if there's somebody that you've got a question about, the Guardian's got it, and they've got it covered. Really got it covered. So it looks like we're going to keep an eye on stuff with Atlanta United, with Muyumba and the Visa. You've got the latest with the Diego Rossi. Third separate source now is sitting there and saying, okay, you know what? We're hearing Diego Rossi from Fenerbahce to Atlanta. It's the third separate source. It's the one with the least amount of followers, if you want to put it that way. But we're going to keep an eye on things with Diego Rossi now. OG. Haiti would be my underdog team of choice. Their country is a hot mess, so fear is an everyday thing. What's to fear about a soccer match? OG, absolutely nothing. And like I said, the fact that, yes, their play has been up and down, win 4, lose 4, have some great knockout performances in tournaments and knocking off some of the bigger names. But yeah, I'm looking forward to it. I'm looking forward to, like I said, I'm looking forward to seeing how these debutantes work their way into this. It's your first time in the tournament, and I know that, last time we had debutantes, and it was tough for them to get acclimated to playing in a World Cup setting. And then you're going, okay. And when a team scored, it was a big deal, and they were so excited when they scored. But I'm looking at the debutantes, and I want to see how they react to the big stage. I really do. I want to see how they react to the big stage. I want to see how they work their way through all of it, how they handle what's going on in front of them, and see what's going on there. I'm looking forward to it. I really am. Also tonight, this weekend, today, lower divisions. NPSL is having their conference semis, and we will have our NPSL Southern preview coming up later today. We catch up with folks from Charlottetown Hops. We catch up with Jack Marchant from the Georgia Revs. We catch up with we give you the match of the week that Jarrett called, the craziness with all the goals that were scored and all the red cards and all that with Apotheos and the Revolution. It's a match of the week. So you've got playoff action going on in the South with the Final Four, including Apotheos. This is in Naples, Florida. You can probably catch it on 11 Sports, ELEVEN Sports. Doubleheader, Naples hosting Apotheos. Apotheos is the 4 in the South. They traveled to Naples. Southern States SC is the 2 seed, and they're taking on Brownsville NPSL. Brownsville NPSL knocked off the Lubbock Matadors in the Lone Star Conference final, shocking a lot of folks. Lubbock Matadors, fantastic crowds all season long, another Michael Hitchcock franchise location. Fantastic crowds there in the Lone Star Conference. And Southern States SC works their way in through it as well. So those matches, Naples hosting Apotheos. Technically, they're the home side, but Naples is playing at home. Southern States is playing against Brownsville NPSL. Catch all the action on 11 Sports and on social media. South Region semifinals are today. Final is tomorrow. and in some of the other regions, just to give you teams that are out there that you may know. Annapolis Blues, who have done fantastic work. They're playing on they're playing on the campus there in Annapolis. 8,000 people last time out. They've done great work there with Annapolis Blues. They're a part of it. Everything is at FC Motown. They play Hartford City today. Annapolis Blues hosting Westchester. FC Motown, traditionally, they'll bring in old retired players from lower divisions as a part of their run. So we'll see what happens there in the East. In the Midwest, hosted by Des Moines United, Steel City, Med City, Des Moines United, Tulsa Athletic. So that's your Midwest. And in the West, in the NPSL, the West Regional Final is tomorrow. Last week they had the semis. Crossfire Red and El Federalito won, so they're going to be playing tomorrow to determine the West region champ to be a part of the Final Four. So they're that much closer. Also, USL League 2, and we'll have that coming up with you later today as well. We catch up with our friends at Little Rock Rangers. Asheville City is involved. Des Moines Menace is involved. Lagos Kunga playing for the Des Moines Menace, by the way. And he was part and parcel to the first goal that was scored in their last match that got them to advance to this particular part of the playoffs. They are in the round of 32. Round of 32 schedule, just so you know. It's in Seattle. It's in Ventura, Washington. That's the Western Conference. Southern Conference is in Asheville, North Carolina. 4 and 7:30 today. Villages, South Carolina United, Asheville City, Weston. Southern Conference at War Memorial Stadium. We catch up with Lucas Escola with Little Rock Rangers. It is Little Rock, AHFC Royals, Texas United, Nona FC. Central Conference is played in Des Moines and in Fort Wayne. Eastern Conference involving our friends at Lions Bridge are playing in Newport News, and they're also playing in Uniondale, New York. So that's your round of 32 with the USL League 2 as well. So keep an eye on all of that. So there's a lot of that. Ricky Ricardo with Wrexham Season 2, September 12th, coming your way. I've still got to finish Season 1, and they're going to send me to the poorhouse, by the way, with all the stuff that they have. But, yeah, I'm going to go into the poorhouse with the store. All right, so once again, really quickly, later today, NPSL release, USL League 2 release, Wild Heaven, we're going to be there. We're going to do stuff. Fill up a Subaru. It's going to be a great day as we get ready to watch the U.S. Women's National Team take on Vietnam in their first match here in the Women's World Cup in Australia and New Zealand. So once again, thanks for another fantastic week. Thanks for all of that you guys do. And thanks for being a part of the SDH family. Don't forget, in the Discord, fill out your choices. Leagues Cup competition that's going to be going on all competition long. So you have until 7:59 tonight to get your picks in on the Discord. So thanks to Greg Garza and all of our friends at Beyond Goals Mentoring. Thanks to you. We will see you tonight at Wild Heaven West End. Very, very busy weekend, folks. Enjoy it. We'll be back at it again on Monday. We'll be doing some stuff over the weekend, too. Like we said, we're going on tonight. So since it's the end of the show, thanks for hanging out with us for another go-around here at SDH. Another week of SDH. Play it safe, everybody. Mucha plati all. Since it's the end of the show, that means I get to do this. We'll see you at Wild Heaven tonight.